Yeah, hello people. I hope you had an amazing evening already. Because now it's actually time for German comedy. So, my name is Sonnenberg and I'm a PhD student in the College of Life Sciences here in beautiful Dundee. And yes, I know. So, I left Germany for doing my PhD here, and with the firm resolution to experience a new culture, learn a new language, and especially to stay away from everything that reminded me of home. However, the first thing that I had to learn when I arrived was that it is just impossible to avoid Germans. They are just everywhere. To make that clear, I don't have anything against Germans. And I even accumulated a couple of German friends here. And obviously, my friends are the best in the world. And I love them all. And it doesn't matter what nationality. But maybe it's safer if I just talk about my work. So for my PhD project, I'm looking at embryo development in fruit flies. Yes, and I'm interested in, or I want to know what one specific gene is doing in fruit flies and in humans, because if this gene is defective, it leads to death of fruit fly embryos, and it also leads to several human diseases, for example breast cancer. However, no one actually knows what this gene is actually doing, and to investigate this, I have to look at hundreds and thousands of these fucking small, half a millimeter in size embryos. And that means I need a lot of them. And this is why I want my flies to have consistent sex and produce as many babies as possible. And that's why I'm organizing fly orgies. I also like to call them sex parties in a tube. And to all the shades of grey lovers upon us, and all the maybe a bit kinky ones. No, I'm not referring to having sex in the London Underground. If I talk about sex in a tube, I'm actually referring to having sex in here.
Oh my God.
This is a fly tube, and this is the place where about 50 to 100 flies will have sex. It is filled with Drosophila's or fruit flies' favorite food, which is yeast. So pretty much like Marmite. So in contrast to me, flies love that stuff. But obviously you don't just need food for a proper fly orgy. And you may have heard about that already, but babies are produced by a weird encounter of males and females. And to bring males and females together, I need to take over the role of a Drosophila dating service. So to say, the fruit fly Tinder. And actually, just like Tinder, my dating service is completely superficial and exclusively looks for the outward appearance. So to say, straight wings or curly wings, or red eye color or white eye color, and so on and so forth. And so the outward appearance is really everything that matters to me. I mean, if you want to know what I'm talking about, just have a look on my boyfriend. I mean, who needs inner values like a good character anyways? Completely overrated stuff nowadays. But finding the males for a nice gathering is usually quite simple. I mean, by nature, males are far easier to please than females. And I can actually take males, adult males of any age, and they basically screw whatever they get. And by the way, we are still talking about fruit flies. However, now it becomes a bit tricky for me, because I know that I am here for the Women in Science Pride Club special, fighting for gender equality and such stuff. However, I have to admit that I personally don't treat the genders equally. I mean, I don't care how many females my fruit fly males had sex with before, and how many babies they may have already. But I'm very picky with the females. Not only that, I don't want any village bisexuals in my collection, but I really want to make sure that they are all virgins. And I can tell you, getting females that never had sex before is a race against time. So the first stage in which I can distinguish between a male and a female fly is the adult stage. And just to make things more difficult, this is also the first stage in which they can mate. So that means I need to be fast, and I need to grab the females when they hatch from their pupa case before their sexual awakening. So actually, a bit like a mother superior, I take all the freshly hatched females under my wing and remove them from the hotbed of sin. But just to throw them afterwards to a lot of horny males and let the games begin. So after my flies had sex, the females lay a lot of fertilized eggs into the marmite, which I then collect, and I look at the embryos developing inside with a microscope. And I have to take embryos that are pretty young, so just about 2 hours old, because the gene that I am studying leads to death of the embryos at exactly this stage. And the gene that I am interested in is called mast in humans, short for microtubule associated serine threonine kinase. And no worries, I won't ask you after this show for the name. But in fruit flies, it's far more simple. It's just called dropout. And this is because some structures just drop out of the embryo when the gene is defective, and the embryo apparently just falls apart. And this is actually one of the really nice things if you work with Drosophila, because in contrast to other model organisms, the rules of how to name a gene are less strict. So if you discover a new gene, you can basically call it whatever you like. And this is one of the biggest dreams for my science career. After winning the Nobel Prize, of course, this is still on top. But, I mean, I would really like to discover a new gene and give it a name. And traditionally, you have to name it according to a phenotype. That means you have to give it a name according to what is caused or what is going wrong in the fly when a gene is defective. And I just give you an example. So if there's a defect in either the genes Ken or Barbie, this results in flies that lack their external genitalia. It makes sense. One of my favorites actually is a gene defect called cheap date. This one results in flies that have a higher sensitivity to alcohol. So you can imagine a fruit fly which not even drank half a pint of beer and is already dancing naked on the table. A bit like this. So, but actually, this is already the end of my presentation. But last but not least, I would like to show you something which did otherwise not fit into my program. And it's a picture of my favorite part of a fruit fly. So, yeah, it's quite heavy. And I don't think that John ever in his life did carry something so massive and beautiful. But you may have recognized it already. Yes, it's a Drosophila brain. And this shows how honest Drosophila is actually.